Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Ryan. Today I get to treat myself to a brand new release here in 2024. It is Bardstown Discovery Series number 12. Last year, 11 made a great splash and a great impression. You know, this is one of those series that's sort of hit and miss for a lot of folks. A lot of the early releases in the series were bangers, and then they had sort of a lull where people were like, I don't think this is for me anymore. Partly because the price tag is not overly approachable at $140 every year is MSRP for these releases. So it's not cheap by any stretch of the imagination. But last year's sort of regained some of that reputation. I think Disco 8 was also a banger as well. So those two are probably the most popular of the recent releases. We'll see if number 12 can sort of continue this upward trend and maintain the integrity of the series. It has not hit shelves in Michigan yet where I'm at. As soon as it does, I will probably pick up Disco 12. You see a lot of Bardstown on my shelf. I'm a big Bardstown fan overall, big Bardstown fan. So today's sample was supplied by DMC, one of our loyal supporters and Discord members. Thank you so much, appreciate you, brother. So we can try that, and I'll also revisit 11 just to see comparison side by side how it stacks up to last year's release. All right, Disco 12. Let's talk about it real quick. So stats-wise, this is going to be a bit of a return to form from last year, where last year was all Kentucky whiskeys. I think was it 4 was the last one before that was all Kentucky? But this one's all Kentucky bourbon, and it's a nice blend. You know, a lot of times in blends, they tend to be bottom heavy, where it's like the youngest juice in the blend. It's like 75% of this is 6-year-old juice, and then 25% is this 12-year barrel that we emptied, that we blended into it to give it a little bit more maturity. This is that model flipped on its head, right? So the biggest portion of the whiskey in this in Disco 12, so 92% of it is a decade old or older. So 92% of the whiskey in this pour is at least 10 years old. So 48%, almost half of it, is 14-year-old juice from Kentucky, 75% corn, 13 rye, 12 malted barley, very popular mash bill. And then 29% is a different 10-year Kentucky bourbon that's 78 corn, 10 rye, 12 malted barley. I'm reading, by the way, so I don't get these wrong. So forgive me for looking to the side. 15% is another 10-year Kentucky bourbon. That is 78 corn, 13 rye, 9 malted barley, and then the last 8% is Bardstown's own juice, which is high wheat mash bill bourbon. So 60% corn, 26% wheat, 10 rye, 4 malted barley, and that's 6-year-old juice. Okay, like all their origin stuff most of their origin stuff is 6 years old. The proof on this is 115.2, so it's got a little heat to it. For comparison's sake, the Disco 11 is 118.1, so a little bit hotter. And like I said, $140 is MSRP. Now, I have not looked at any reviews of this yet, okay? And I wanted to make sure that I didn't, because I didn't want it to pollute or taint my honest reactions to this. So we'll see where I fall. The nose of this makes me think, the very first thing I think of is coconut cream pie. I love like shaved coconut. I usually have a bag of shaved coconut in the pantry somewhere, so that whenever we have a dessert that I think to myself in the moment, you know what would be really good on this? A little bit of shaved coconut. Hey, I'll grab that bag and sprinkle some on, baby. I love coconut. So we get like coconut cream pie on the nose of this, and already, I love that. There's also some great sugary oak in here. It has a bright caramel sweetness to it. You know, it's not like sometimes we get deep, dark, rich leathers and dark caramels and molasses. And I'm not getting that, not the dark end of it. It's more like the bright sweetness and a lot of seasoned oak. And I do mean a lot of that seasoned oak. There's a ton of that. And I want to say even just like a hint of red apple, right? Not those tangy sour apples, just a nice like a Jonathan or something like that, a little red apple. In brewing, like beer brewing, anytime you add a flavor component to the beer, like during the fermentation process or something like that, they call those adjuncts, or even in the boil. Any extra stuff you put in there, we call adjuncts. I remember one batch of an IPA that I made one time, because I used to homebrew all grain. I didn't use extracts, where you just buy a can of that thick syrupy stuff and malt extracts and then boil it and ferment it. No, I did it all with my own homemade mash tun. I'd buy the grains myself and have them hand malted for me there at the shops. Take them home, mix everything up, make my own mash tun, go through the full process. Anyways, one time I made an IPA, and I decided last minute, because it was the fall season, to take, because I was going to make some homemade apple ciders and stuff. So I took the peels of these West Michigan apples that I had just gotten from the orchard. So I peeled the apples and I took the peels and tossed them into the boil. It's called an adjunct when you do something like that. You add in a new flavor component. And it turned out great. I thought it was fantastic. And this to me is reminiscent of that, just like you had the red apple peel. So it's not all sweet. You get some of that, you know, the bitterness of the peel too, but it's just a delicate red apple sweetness in here. All right, well, let's try it. Cheers. That apple sweetness right up front. It's followed by a wave of allspice and some peppery oak. The finish is where that almost like toasted coconut comes back around. It hangs out for a long time alongside that seasoned sweet oak. I think that's the best way to describe it. Again, second sip, pretty much the same thing. I get that wave of red apple sweetness right up front, followed by this crescendo of some peppery oak, and then it settles down right into that sweet toasted coconut note at the end with that sugary seasoned oak. That peppery crescendo I'm getting right in the mid palate. I had expected it to like die down after subsequent sips. On my third sip, it's maybe a little bit more diminished as I get acclimated, but it's definitely still there. I think that's a hallmark part of this sip. It's fruity sweet, peppery oak, and then the tail end is that toasted coconut and sweet seasoned oak. That's great. It's not like super hyper complex or anything, but it's really good. I like all of those things. Yeah, this isn't your like dark, rich bourbon, you know, thick stuff. It's more bright where the oak gets to be featured alongside some other great notes like that toasted coconut. Ooh, I'm a fan of that. So if that sounds like that could be your jam, you might get down with this. Okay, jump cut here. I've let that sit for several minutes. Had a little sip of water. Now I'm gonna have just a little hit of this Disco 11 for comparison's sake. Yeah, the 11 doesn't have that fruit note. This is more like your burnt sugars, your creme brulee, creamy buttercream frostings. I love that pour. Man, that's good. Yeah, luckily two different pours. You don't want them to be too similar, right? But neither of them go to those dark, rich notes. They all go to those bright sweetness notes. And I really like that. So if I'm going to give Disco 12 a score per my scale, I'm going to land at an 8.4. I think I'm going to land at 8.4, which for me, that's really good, okay? I recommend this bottle. I do. I definitely recommend this bottle. This is a great pour. Has some fantastic maturity to it, right? You can tell that's been sitting a while, waiting to come of age. I approve. Okay, so 8.4. So that lands it firmly in the fantastic category. That's fantastic whiskey. You gotta buy it. Yeah, if you see this on a shelf and you want to make that your splurge bottle for the month, I recommend you do so. What a great pickup. I think this is the kind of pour that literally any bourbon lover could get down with. There's nothing in here that could possibly be offensive. Even if you don't like coconut, it's not like there's no actual coconut in this, guys. It's just a tasting note. But anyways, yeah, it's got my seal of approval. Thanks again, DMC, for sending that in. I appreciate you. Hey, if you want to get involved in our community, please feel free to do so. We're like in the middle of a nice virtual bottle share. We had round one the other night. We had 4 whiskeys. One of them was hazmat. Another one was close to hazmat. We had some banger pours. We got a lot of great stuff on the horizon. We'd love for you to be a part of it. Come join the Discord. Totally free. Link in the description. And you can come introduce yourself, see what we're all about. If you get down with us, cool. You could always check out the Patreon page as well. Cheapest tier is just $1 a month. And then different benefits above and beyond that if you're interested in getting more involved in our community and the events that we do and what we like to be involved in. So yeah, check it out sometime. We'd love to see it. Hey, cheers, my friends. May you live richly and get better with age and have an excellent weekend. Go Colts, go Lions. Everybody else can lose. Bye-bye.